This is a bow saw, one that I bought secondhand and one that was mass produced in a factory. It is basically used to cut curves in panels of wood. However, the one I'm showing here is starting to show its age. Basically the blade is all curved and bent, and also where the joints are centered as shown here, I've started noticing small cracks on the other side due to the pressure being exerted. So I decided I'm going to try and make my own one using the Gramercy tool set. I'm going to use European beech that I had lying around as scrap wood for this project. The beech is quite strong and has quite a beautiful grain to it. After sawing out all the pieces, it's basically to straighten everything and untwist every piece to make sure it is ready for shaping. Here are the main components of the bow saw, all straightened and untwisted, ready for action. I decided I'm going to manually shape the handles to try and make it round instead of putting it on my lathe. First, it's just making a rough octagon and then smoothing all the sides to make it a round rod. At this step, I'm basically tapering down the one end of the handle, so it will be more comfortable for my hand. With the tapering done, I'm basically filing the back end to make it nice and round, to also ease for gripping. For the front knob, I'm basically going to make it much shorter as I don't need any grip there, and just going to saw out the main parts before shaping it finally. So here's the front handle as well as the back handle finished, also smoothed and ready to go to receive the pins from the Gramercy tool set. To attach the pins to the handles, I'm basically using epoxy resin to make sure that the pins will stay firmly in place once the epoxy resin is dried, so they don't pull out once I apply pressure to the bow saw at the end of the day. Next is to saw out the cross beam. That's going to be between the two handles of the bow saw. Here I'm basically marking out a round shape for it, so it will easily pivot into the handles of the bow saw. This will prevent cracking at the end of the day. It's going to be a traditional mortise and tenon joint, except as previously said, it's just going to have a round corners, so it will easily be able to move as I apply pressure between every part. Next is to chop out the mortises. As you can see in the other one, it has already been chopped out and basically rounded over. This is where the other tenon will fit into at the end of the day. With the mortises complete, it's now basically time to shape the handle. This is to make it well pretty, number one, but also number two, to remove excess wood to make it much more lighter at the end of the day. I'm also removing waste from the crossbeam. Number one, just to make it look more prettier, but as I said, to remove weight at the end of the day, but still keeping it structurally sound. And here are the main parts done. Basically our crossbeam, our two side pieces where the crossbeam is going to go into, as well as our tensioning stick, and then of course our two handles, the front one and the back one that will receive the blade and will enable us to turn and twist it at the end of the day. One last step is just to basically coat every piece with some tung oil. This is just basically to make it more reddish, which will go well with the beech wood. I didn't use linseed oil, otherwise it will just turn yellow over time, and I do not like that look at all. Now it's basically just the final assembly stage. As you can see, I've already at the bottom inserted the blade with the handles into each of the pieces, and now I'm just basically tensioning the saw so that the blade will get tight and hopefully the whole structure will not snap. Time to test it out. As you can see here, basically just cutting a normal curve in a piece of wood and just following the line that I drew with a piece of pencil. Here is another test just to show how one can then pull the handle so that the frame becomes out of the way so it doesn't hit the piece of wood, and you can continue sawing along your pattern, however complex it might be at the end of the day. And there you have it. I'm very glad and pleased how it came out at the end of the day. It actually looks beautiful and it's quite functional, so I'll be using it a lot in future projects. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!